Hello family and friends, and welcome to another video. We're going to talk about the concept of emptiness. I've made a video very similar to this a while ago, maybe a year ago, about the concept of emptiness, which is also known in Buddhism as Shunyata, emptiness. And I'm going to use this cup here as an analogy to demonstrate what I'm trying to portray here, the message that I'm trying to deliver. So here we have a cup, it's a lemon water. Let me fix this. Yeah, there we go. So this is lemon water and it's, I'd say 3/4 empty, right? But there's a little bit in here. So we could put just about anything in here in this cup. It's not fully empty, but it's mostly empty. So you could put just about anything and it'll mix up with the lemon water, and there is your product. There's your drink. So you could put in more lemon water and then you have a cup of lemon water. Some of it is old, some of it is fresh. You could put in orange juice and then you have orange juice with lemon water. You could put in shit water in there, right? So that should be an interesting combination. So whatever, you can put in here whatever, and a certain product will be produced, or let's say you will consume something there. There's something to be consumed, whatever it is, whatever the experience is. So, however, if the cup was fully empty, then you would be able to put in just about anything in there and get that experience without the influence of the lemon water. So although the cup is mostly empty, the lemon water is going to influence the final product. Whereas if you want something pure, if you want to try shit water and you want to see how it is, then you much better have an empty cup. You much better have an empty cup, so you could fully experience the shit water. If you want to put in some form of pure drink that's going to something elvish, some sort of an elvish drink that's going to heal you instantaneously, then also you want the cup empty, because otherwise there's the influence of the lemon water on that magic elixir, so it may not be as potent, or it may not be potent at all, because it needs to be pure. So in the same way, if we're looking to level up in this game, if we're looking to level up this character that we picked up in this game, we are well advised to empty. And what is the emptiness? The emptiness is the Holy Trinity, the emptiness of the body, the emptiness of the mind, and the emptiness of the heart. Let's talk about the body first. If you empty your body, your mind is going to be naturally more empty. Let me explain. If you are abusing your body, if you're subjecting your body to a lot of abuse, if you're eating foods that are causing pain, that are causing distress, if you're running for like 3 hours a day and your body's in a state of acidosis and you've got lots of tension, or not even that, generally speaking, your mind will be more cluttered. Why? Because you're like, my knee hurts, or my muscles hurt, or I have a brain fog, you see? So the mind is constantly noting the pain that is in your body, because your body is not empty. It's not in a state of emptiness. It's got acids in there, it's got foods, waste. It's not an empty body. If it's not an empty body, naturally the mind is going to be more cluttered and agitated. So obviously all of these things are connected: the empty mind, the empty heart, the empty body. But even an empty body is not enough. An empty body will only help you get your mind to be emptier, because if there's no pain, the mind does not have to think and note the pain. The mind does not have to say knee hurts. The mind does not have to say stomach hurts. The mind doesn't have to say, I got a headache. If you have an empty body, your mind's going to be emptier naturally. However, even in the case of an empty body, and how do you get an empty body? Well, fasting. Fasting is the quickest way to empty the body. Still, you may still have a mind that is agitated due to, for lack of better terms here, a blackened heart, a heart that's full of resentment and emotional traumas, let's say. Well, all right, you empty the body, so you have a quieter mind, an emptier mind, but nevertheless, it's still quite active. It's still not active in a positive way, but just in an agitated state, because you can have an active mind that is sharp, that is focused, but let's call it agitation here. Let's call the state a state of agitation. So then we have the mind. So there are so many tools to empty the mind. We'll talk about the emotional part a little bit later. We'll talk about the emotional part a little bit later, but let's talk about the mind here. How do we calm down the clutter? How do we empty the mind? How do we empty the mind? Well, that's when the practice of meditation comes in very, very, very handy. So, example, let's say you pick up a mantra, any mantra. It could be thank you, I love you, or it can be one of those, Hindu mantras. The Tibetan one, Om Mani Padme Hum, humming, Om. It's a mantra also. You are essentially focusing on one thing, and you'll just keep repeating it over and over and over and over and over. And in the beginning, you will notice that you're still thinking. You're still thinking. Let's say you're humming. Oh, knee hurts. I gotta go shopping today. But you keep humming, and the thoughts naturally calm down. Just on their own. You don't even have to do anything. The mind begins to, on its own, empty and empty and empty and empty. You can also do something like Tritaka, for instance, and you could just stare at an object for a certain period of time. You could just stare at an object, and you will notice that you're still thinking. The thoughts, you can't really just turn a switch on and stop thinking. It happens on its own. It's a spontaneous process, kind of like taking a shit, right? Can't really force taking a shit. You can drink water, you can hydrate, but when that shit wants to come out, it is going to come out spontaneously. In the same way, the emptying of the mind sort of happens naturally if you do certain practices. There are certain practices designed for that. Another useful practice to empty the mind is to calm down the heart rate, because your heart rate is directly, so you have the connection of the body and the mind. The heart rate is directly connected to your mind. If your heart rate, if you're taking in 10 to 20 to 30 breaths per minute, which most people do, then you have think about it, the system is in a state of agitation, right? You've got the stress hormone, you've got your adrenaline, you're in an agitated state, so thoughts rush faster, and it could be all kinds of thoughts. Slowing down the breath, see, the yogis who dedicate themselves to the path of meditation will actually decrease their heart rate to 2 breaths per minute on a regular basis. So they're walking and they're only taking in 2 breaths per minute. They're gardening and they're only taking 2 breaths per minute. That's after much breath work. To less than 4 breaths per minute. If you can take less than 4 breaths per minute, turtles are the longest living mammals, and they take about 4 breaths per minute. So that's associated actually with a longer lifespan and less stress, an emptier mind, less agitation in the system, because the heart rate is slower. You're more in the parasympathetic nervous system part of life, the more relaxed part of life. The more relaxed the mind is, the more empty it is. So various forms of meditation aim to do just that, to empty the mind. And what about the heart? The heart's associated with emotions, resentment. If you resent your parents because they brought you up a certain way, guess what? That heart's not empty, and it's gonna interfere with your body, because those emotions are stored in your body, and it's going to interfere with your mind. It's going to interfere with your mind, because here you are trying to be all zen, but in the meantime, every time you get a thought about your dad or your mom, and you just feel this contraction and this stress, which creates an acidic pH in the blood. Stress, that's what it does. Unless it's positive stress, like a cold shower, but that's not for this video. Yeah, so that's what happens, folks, is you've also got to do some work here on emptying your heart, emptying the emotional traumas, and there are, again, various ways to do it. You could do catharsis, which is just the drastic release of emotions, screaming, yelling, crying, laughing, all of it. And that'll empty your heart. And then the more you can forgive and let go, the emptier the system is, the more at peace you are, the more energy can come into the system. You see, because it's always ultimately about your connection with the cosmic energies. If you are full, if the cup is full, right, if the lemon water was up to here, all I'm going to get is lemon water. Whether it's good lemon water or bad lemon water, anything really. Why? The cosmic energies can't come in. No energy can come in a full cup, right? But here, I'm going to drink this. There we go. We got an empty cup here. Cosmic energies can come in now. I can put in just about anything here. I can put a magic elvish elixir in here and drink it and have instantaneous healing and infinite energy, you know. The cup is empty. But if it was full, that elvish elixir, and then the elvish elixir, you can think of it as just the cosmic energies, cannot come in. Okay? So, it is a process of emptying. And in the emptying, the more you're empty, the more at peace you are. The less thinking you have to do. But if you're thinking less, how are you interacting with people? How are you going on about your life? I mean, you know, if you're always just trying to slow down your breath and empty and all that, like, so what? Like, is there some kind of a final destination here? Yes, there is. There is a final destination. Once these things become habits, once your heart rate is, let's say, for lack of better terms, permanently slowed down, because you have been doing this for a long period of time and consistently, that now your heart rate adapted, just like a muscle will grow, will adapt if you work it out. Your heart rate now adapted to be slower. You're thinking less and you're emptier, and you're doing fasting and you're making sure the body's empty of toxins. Mosquito. So once you do that long enough and consistent enough, you will see that naturally you're thinking less. Just naturally, it happens. There are less thoughts. Is still thoughts going to be there? Okay, you almost can't really escape that. Very, very difficult, at least. There will still be thoughts, but let's say there'll be 1/4 the amount of thoughts that you were thinking before. 1/4. Imagine 1/4 of that comes into your mind. And what do people think of me? And this and that. Imagine 1/4 now. Imagine 3/4 of it is gone. And you're just having that 1/4. And if you're in a peaceful state, you're going to attract peaceful thoughts. You see? So in that state, not much thinking is done, actually. Not much thinking is needed to begin with. And you will find that things sort of just spontaneously happen in your life. Even if you got problems, they'll just kind of solve themselves. You see, because you'll be sort of more silent. You'll be able to hear and see reality for what it is, more so, in a more objective way, in a more observant way. Because that's what happens. The peaceful you are, the more empty you are, the more objective you are, the more of an observer you are. You just sort of observe things. And you'll find that if you have any problems in life, they just sort of solve themselves, and you don't have to talk much. You just sort of read into the morphic field. You just sort of read into things. Like if you just had a fight with someone, you'll just kind of read into the thoughts. You know, if your brother or your sister wants something from you, you'll kind of be able to sense it. If someone is mad around you for whatever reason, you can just kind of let them be. You know, you don't have to say much. You just understand things now at a telepathic level. Your telepathic communication with the world around you is improved due to the emptiness. You're emptier. If you're emptier, you're able to hear more. You're able to see more. You're able to perceive more, and you're able to see reality more for what it is. But when you're so cluttered with pain all over your body and thoughts all over your mind and resentment and emotional traumas trapped all over your body, how do you expect to see reality for what it is? How do you expect to be the observer when you're constantly in a state of agitation? You see, so we want to go from a state of agitation, which is the fullness. We've been full by the programs of society, by our past traumas and our childhood traumas, and all the foods and toxins that we've been eating. We've been full by them. So we're in a state of agitation. Those things must be let go first. and then we can put something good in there, which is basically if you're empty, you're able to perceive things more, you're able to observe things more. If you're in a state of agitation, it's always about you. I'm agitated, I'm this, I'm that. Never really seeing reality for what it is, never gaining that objectivity, always playing the game from first person rather than third person. So this is why there is such a great emphasis on emptiness in religions such as practices, traditions, let's say, such as Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism. The Tao talks a lot about emptiness, because precisely because of that, because you're able to see things more as they are. You're able to play the game more from a third perspective. You're able to get on the balcony of life and just be like, okay, I'm observing what's happening here, rather than being in first person, sort of at the mercy of your biological urges and your racing mind. So to recap this video, to give you guys the moral of the story here, to empty, and I'll do a little quote here from Bruce Lee, empty your mind, be like water, right? What was it? Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. The water can flow or it can crash. To empty, you must empty the body, mind, heart, Holy Trinity. And the way to do that, if you want to empty your body, you must empty it from pain, from acidosis, from acids, corrosive acids that are causing it pain, that are making it sluggish. And so the best way to do that is to get plenty of sunshine, movement, and fasting. Fasting will do wonders to get you in a state of emptiness. And you've just got to get through the first stage of detox to really see and reap these benefits. The second part of this emptiness is the emptiness of the mind, and the way to do that, amongst many ways, is to adopt a meditative practice which works and aims to quiet the mind. If we're working on the body and emptying the body, the mind is already less agitated, and the meditation will get it into a less agitated state, a calmer, quieter state. A state where you can actually hear things, hear what you need to hear from the universe. Intuition, rather than reaction. Intuition. You're able to hear your intuition now because of the emptiness. And for the heart, forgiveness. I think forgiveness is a huge one. And this is how we resolve karma. Forgiveness. Once we forgive, we have freed ourselves and the people who we forgave from the constant karma, this karmic cycle of I've done you wrong, you've done me wrong, and we keep doing it lifetime after lifetime. So emptiness, just a state of emptiness. Other things which are also important is live somewhere that's also empty, well, quiet, calm, right? Calm. If you're living in the middle of Manhattan, for example, that's a pretty busy place. It's going to require more meditation, more emptying in the body, more emptying of the heart, more work, more effort for you to be in a state of emptiness, state of peace, a state of seeing things as they are. Shunyata, being in that emptiness, being in the flow with the Tao. It's going to require more work. It's still possible, but if you're in a quiet place, a quiet environment, the environment plays such a key role, you'll naturally gravitate towards that also. You'll naturally gravitate towards peace. If you're in a peaceful place, you're naturally going to gravitate more towards peaceful. You're going to have more peaceful thoughts. You're going to be able to listen more. So, it's all very, very important. Otherwise, we are stuck in programs. We are prisoners to programs which were just simply installed upon us during our childhood and our teenage years, addictions, etc. I love you guys. Thank you all for the people who support this channel on Patreon. I love you guys. I appreciate it. If you'd like to support, the link is down below in the description. Mwah. All the love, all the peace and harmony to every single one of you guys, and I will see you in the next video.